What's up, everybody? We're live. Chris is definitely not making it. He said he's
Why
sleeping.
not?
He went to the doctors for his wife because that car thing. And
okay. I hope she's all right.
Yeah, so he's knocked out. Carlos should be coming soon. And then it's just you and me.
Well, let me ask you. Okay.
If it's just you and me, then
Oh man, it's funny. Someone should do a compilation of like your looks, because you went from like almost a terrorist to now like Michael Jackson.
Someone said he called me Macro Jackson. I feel like that should have been the name of the website instead of Macro.
Dude, Macro Jackson.
Dude, that's such a good Twitter account. I think I'm gonna change the name.
You better hurry up. Go get it right now before one of these.
Oh my god! Everyone's gonna try to hide.
You better hurry up.
Fuck! I gotta do it right now. If anyone does it, don't charge me a lot of money.
Yo.
Macro
did I like Raleigh? Yeah, I think Raleigh was cool. We actually went to the circus. We saw Poor Things as well. So besides work, where we had a day off, and Poor Things was a crazy movie. And this is something Amit would never watch in your whole life. You will never watch it. But Emma Stone did show her boobies all like 20 times. Maybe you will watch it just for that.
What is it called? Poor Thing?
Poor Things. Yeah, I forgot the director's name. He's a Greek guy, really talented. Just an amazing movie. I mean, so weird. And he got $35 million to do it. I hope he makes back the money, because like these kinds of movies are not going to be made in the future. I could see like being really hard to raise money. It's such a weird movie. And I hope they win. I hope he wins the Oscar, or they get the Oscar. It's coming up. I think though, Oppenheimer's probably going to take it just because Christopher Nolan hasn't gotten an Oscar in so long, and he probably deserves one too. But what an amazing film. I was like blown away.
So it only did 12 million in the box office.
I think worldwide is somewhere around 30 million, right? I think I looked worldwide.
Is that a failure or a success?
Well, so if your budget is 35 million, don't forget you're splitting 50% with the box office, right?
Yeah.
Now, and on top of that, you have advertising. So if you're not making double your budget, at least, you're a failure in the box office. So it's going to be sad, but if they win an Oscar, maybe it'll bump them back up to making back their money. But just amazing. I mean, like, honestly, I didn't know what I was walking into. I was just blown away how talented some of these people are. It's just
okay. Let me ask you a question. Is it better than, or is it weirder
YouTube?
Than
yes. It's better than watching Amit live 14 hours a day.
No. Is it better than Everything Everywhere All at Once?
That's a great movie too, but it's even more out there than that.
Really?
So if you enjoyed that, this is like I don't even want to explain it. It's just such a weird film, the way it's done, the way it's shot, the cinematography, the direction. Emma Stone is amazing. Willem Dafoe is in it. Absolutely amazing supporting. I hope he wins an Oscar too. Like, I'm not sure if he's nominated. It's just crazy. That movie is literally why we make movies. That movie is why you watch cinema, not why you go to YouTube. If you watch this movie and you hate it, you don't understand movies. Okay? That's all I'm going to say.
This is the one paragraph summary. Brought back to life by an unorthodox scientist, a young woman runs off with a lawyer on a whirlwind adventure across the continents, free from the prejudices of her times. She grows steadfast in her purpose for equity and liberation. So brought back to life, does that mean metaphorically or literally she's brought back to life?
It's like, the only hint I'll give you, it's like a Frankenstein take on this film. There's like, so I don't want to kill the movie for you, but she is brought back to life, and I'm not going to tell you any more about what happens. And then just the way they executed the whole movie is crazy. It's honestly absolutely astounding.
I watched a masterpiece of cinema over the weekend.
I doubt it, but go ahead.
Okay. Dumb Money.
Oh God.
Dude, I liked it.
See, I knew you would like it, and that is such a piece of shit. That is literally junk entertainment.
This is the one movie I actually sat through, and I checked my phone only like 10 times instead of like 30 times.
Go see Poor Things in the theater. I implore everybody, just go to the theater. Do not watch the trailers. Do not have any preconception. Just go watch it, and then come back with an honest feedback on what you think, without looking at your phone. Just paying attention to like high quality filmmakers, and storytelling. But anyway.
I was gonna say, if you had the budget, would you want to make a movie like that? Like, is that the type of movie you would? want to build? Something
I
so
would
far
love
up
to
there?
get to that stage, but that is a really to make the kind of movie they made, it's hard to explain. You need a lot of creative freedom. You need a lot of people to believe in you and give you that much money to make what they did. I am nowhere near that level that I could probably raise $1 million for a movie that they will never let me make that movie. Like
Mm.
it is a different level of art that he literally made an art house film, but he made it on a bigger budget for mass audiences. It's crazy. There's another one that's similar in vein by Ari Aster, and it's called Bo is Afraid with Joaquin
Mm.
Phoenix. So I implore everybody to watch that too. These movies will never be made in 10 years again, as soon as Amazon and Netflix own everything. They just won't. There won't be, those companies will not care about making art movies like this. They just won't. Yeah.
Do you feel Joaquin Phoenix is a little out there?
Yes, I think he's a super serious actor, method actor. He gets into his character. I think he goes deep into it. I do believe that. Yeah.
So I saw Joker. Joker, I think, was one of the last like 3 films I watched in theaters in 2019. I was very impressed by the film and the acting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you feel that way, or did you think he was
No, no, no. That movie is extremely well executed, both direction, art direction, and Joaquin Phoenix as the actor. They picked the right, trifecta to make that film. It's hard to make those movies. I don't think people understand. Like even the new Batman. I don't know if anyone's seen the new Batman, but like it's hard to make these, even though it's Joker and we all know him and it's a comic book, to make that into like an art movie, like almost, but for the mass audience, that is super hard to execute. And the fact that you enjoyed something like that, because Joaquin has given a great performance in that. Batman 2, like the latest one I'm talking about. No, not Christopher Nolan's Batman.
I didn't like that one. I felt like there was, I don't know.
Which one? Christopher Nolan's or the
No, the
current
one that the one that was on HBO for a while, then it came on Netflix.
Well, this is what I mean. You're probably not watching the whole thing. Like just the way they even shot it, I care about. Like the way they dirtied up Gotham. It was dirty. Yeah. It was always raining. The sound, if you listen to it, it's very choreographed in terms of everything. The frame was always filled with action. So, and it's just such a grimy movie, the way Batman you would think in the comic books would be, not a clean Gotham, the way they've always showed it in the past, basically. Even Christopher Nolan's Gotham was sort of a little bit cleaner. This is a much more grimier, realistic take on like New York or Gotham City, you know?
Yeah, I mean, the reason I like Joker also because Joaquin gave that crazy interview with Jimmy Kimmel right after, where like
I didn't see that.
You haven't seen it?
No.
This is 2019. Jimmy made a joke, and the whole audience was laughing, and Joaquin was like dead serious. And Jimmy was just like, they played some clip from the behind the scenes where Joaquin like got pissed off at the director, and he didn't know that Jimmy Kimmel was going to play the clip, and he got really mad live in front of like, millions of people, and you could visibly see it because, as you said, he's so serious. And that's when I realized this guy takes this stuff like not a joke, you know?
Oh, I got to watch that. I mean, you never know with Joaquin because he's such a weird dude. And I don't know if you know, but his brother was the one who died at the Viper Room.
Yeah.
What's his name? I'm forgetting the name. Maybe someone in the
comments. I'm forgetting his name too, but I remember that story that happened.
But yeah, I mean, he's grown up as acting, but he also had a sort of a hard life, drugs, sex, rock and roll, all that.
I'm putting the link in the chat, dude. This has 17 million views. I mean, this thing went viral. Like this thing.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch it. But I wanted to ask you, okay, River Phoenix. There you go, River. River Phoenix.
River.
Yeah. Great performance too. That's My Private Idaho, I think, where he was like amazing. Yep. Good stuff. Movies really. This is what like I'm sure the audience likes to watch YouTube, but you just don't get that sort of storytelling. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I think people want stories and they want good stories, and I fear everything will become dumb money. You know, just full of, and those aren't great stories. I'm sorry.
It was bad. It was bad.
Or it was poorly told. I'm sorry. The real story of dumb money is good. The way they told it, whoever those filmmakers are, I'm not sure who directed it and wrote it, but that's really poor storytelling.
They just got a lot of stars. Like they got Pete Davidson, but I'm like, you just stuffed it with stars. You didn't really make
it. Right. Because Wolf of Wall Street, fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. You get the right director, the right writer. It's
Do you also think we're all going to be able to make movies with AI? Do you think it's going to be that easy in 10 years?
So it's like saying when Photoshop came out, all artists are dead, right? I feel like it's just another tool that we're going to use. And yes, some jobs will go away. There's certain jobs right now that are going away. Like, for example, the guy who used to cut you out of a green screen, well, in 10 years, he might not have a job. The guy used to rotoscope every frame, he might not have a job. But honestly, I bet you more directors, more cinematographers will be able to make their movies because AI is giving them permission to do that. And also, there's another tool. I know you've seen the volume for Disney, where they do the projection, like actual screens, TV screens, basically.
Yes.
I think you've seen that on The Mandalorian, right?
Yep.
So like that kind of stuff really was impossible to do without green screen 10 years ago, 15 years ago.
Right.
Now filmmakers can actually use it. There's even indie studios popping up where you can use their facilities. Still expensive relatively right now, but it's freeing up people to make the things they want to make. So I think it'll just be more explosion, just like YouTube created a whole new category of filmmakers, right?
Yeah.
And artists and people. I think the same thing is happening with AI. I don't think all the jobs will go away. I actually think there'll be more jobs and more creativity. So I'm on the different side of that. But certain jobs will go away. I'm not, no joke, obviously. If you need to cut a video that's 5 minutes long of all your best clips, you might just tell an AI,
there's already an AI that does it, dude. It's called Opus.pro. It's an easy software, $10 a month. I mean, there's so much shit out there.
Right. So I'm saying like but that also shows you don't really care about the art of it.
Yeah.
Like, you don't care about the art of editing. And okay, maybe one day they recreate the art of editing, but I think we're so far away. I'll probably be dead by the time that happens. Yeah. So I don't actually believe we're getting general AI like everybody does. I think these are just tools. So.
All right, let's transition to SoFi. Let's hear Noto talk for about 4 minutes. He'll set it up.
Well, before that, let me ask you a question.
Okay.
How was your talk with, you talked to, what's his name?
Oh, Dan Ives. Yeah. It was cool. It was dope. It did on my channel. And
how come you never bring the good guests on here? Are we not good enough for you?
No, it's not that. It's you can't have 4 guys badgering him.
I see how it is.
It's a different vibe, dude. It's like he's not doing a podcast. He's used to these 5-minute quick segments.
Yeah.
So
I'm only messing with you, first of all.
No, I know, but in those 30 minutes, it's like you got to run through topic after topic because he's really well media trained. He'll give an answer for like 30 seconds and then he'll wait for the next question because that's why that's why CNBC loves him, right? Because they hate the guests that just keep talking because they have to go to commercial break. So yeah,
what did he say? So I know he got a little bearish on Tesla. What else did he say?
Yeah, he just said Elon was acting like a child. He said there no guidance on the margins on the automotive the deliveries was bad. He says that it's dead. The stock's probably dead for this year until they actually give real numbers, which they might in Q1 because last time they gave numbers in Q1, not Q4. And he's bullish, but he reduced the price target by $35 and says that it's still, a generational company. There's a bump in the road, but I mean, short term, it's going to suck. And
I'm not going to, I won't give away too much, but I did sell some Tesla.
Whoa. Okay, let's have a conversation.
We're not going on that.
We're not going to have a conversation on that. That's juicy stuff. That's better than SoFi right now.
We'll get to SoFi.
So you're up at least 8x on those shares.
20x, 15x.
Still up. Okay, so you sold 50. Why?
I sold earlier. So I have multiple accounts. Some are public that are in the Discord, of course. But I also have like family accounts, like my wife's account and blah, blah, blah. So Tesla was everywhere. I have it like littered like garbage across multiple accounts. And I was way over leveraged Tesla. And I just saw a problem when it fell from 290. Well, I should have sold it at 400, but I saw a problem recently when it fell from 290 to 250 and 260.
That was in the summer.
I was like, I don't need all this Tesla. I have 35% Tesla or something like that.
Wow.
I go, I'm over leveraged Tesla.
Yeah.
So I started selling in some of those private accounts for the family. And then I finally also sold in my account. Even now at 182, I sold. Don't get me wrong. I still have a lot of Tesla. I'm not out of Tesla. Yeah. But I was like, I could see what's happening. I could see like Elon's going to take a very long time. And I've been a little bit bearish in terms of the timelines. I don't know if you've noticed, but the timelines for me are like 2030. And I don't mind waiting. It's not that I'm saying I'm trying to time something, but I just didn't need to be so heavy in it.
There's better opportunities in the next 2 years.
I'm not joking. A third of my portfolio was all Tesla. That's a lot. That's not a little bit of money. It's a lot of money.
Yeah, so dude, I can't blame you for taking some off the table on that. That's a lot.
So I was like, yeah, I don't need all this Tesla. And even if it goes up, even if I'm totally wrong and it shoots back up to 400, I just don't care. And it's the same thing with Enphase, where I actually did sell Enphase and I just didn't care that I got rid of some Enphase because I'm still in the position. So luckily over there, I picked the better top to sell at. Thank goodness. Tesla, I didn't pick the best time to sell, but whatever. I just don't need all the shares. I'm still up from the 40 billion to 600, 700 billion or whatever it is. So I was still up incredibly a lot. And I just didn't want to see it all disintegrate because I've seen that in other positions. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely don't want it to disintegrate. Even if it goes down to $100, that's when I can finally say, because I've sold some Tesla, I could say, look, I can buy some Tesla back because I'm not over leveraged as much as I was. I think now it's down to around 20% or something like that. But the stock also fell. So
yeah, if you'd be buying, if it got to 100, 150, you'd be buying the dip. Now you'd be at least like rebalancing versus just like continuously buying the dip. And your 20x would go from 15x to maybe 10x, right? It would just get harder to justify.
And don't get me wrong, like I said, I still have my long-term position. I don't want to make it seem like I sold everything, but I sold enough where I felt comfortable that I've diversified into other investments too. Like Amazon. I bought a lot of Amazon over this last couple of months. And Amazon has been doing fucking fantastic. So
okay, so hold on. Let me ask you another question before we say where you put the money from Tesla. What if it pops back to like 205? Are you going to feel bad, or do you think?
No, because see, the thing is, this is hard to learn. This is really hard to learn. Getting rid of your good quality companies, taking some cream off the top, you have to learn not to care about it.
Yeah.
So if it escapes to escape velocity, great, because you still have a big position or some position, which I keep. And if it tanks, well, great too, because if you actually do want to DCA back in at a lower price, you have that opportunity. The problem with taking no profits is that you are sort of stuck. You're like just a bag holder. And I actually don't agree with that anymore. That was like 4 years ago. Remember the Bitcoin me? Like it just hold through everything? No.
Yeah.
That taught me a big lesson. Always take a bit off the top, relieve the pressure, get some of that money back. And by the way, I want to make this clear, by the way, Tesla at this point has paid for all my shares.
Yeah.
I bought really low.
Yeah.
So once you get 15x and you sell enough Tesla, it's free Tesla. Yeah. So I'm not saying I want to lose that money, of course, but I don't have to worry about it as much because it went to different places now.
Yeah, I sold all my SoFi calls today, made $1,200, nothing too crazy. I bought them 2 weeks ago, so it wasn't a big thing. If I waited like 40 minutes, I would have made another grand. But if I also waited an hour, it fell to a nice bottom at 870. I would have, maybe only made $500. So really, it's like you got to take it when you take it. If Tesla runs back up to 205, then it does. If Tesla goes to 170, like it's really hard to look at it in hindsight. It's mentally, I feel like it's toxic.
Well, I think if the person okay, so if you're trying to time it like this, let's say I had only 100 shares of Tesla. Let's say I had that and I sold it all at even 250, right? Mm-hmm. I would always be worried. Even at 205, 2010, I'd be like, oh, fuck, I have no Tesla. So it's going back up. What do I do?
Right.
I don't have to worry about that. Every time it goes up, I make more money.
Yeah.
And I took my profits at the same time. I think that's being in a good position. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, 100%.
So that's what I wanted to be. I wanted to be mentally in a good position and not just watch Tesla collapse to $100 because like I've said this before, I think Tesla should be $100. If you're not growing 50%, because that was what Elon said, if you're not growing 50% and you're growing 40% and then 30%, I don't care what you say. Wall Street is not going to like it. And that means the stock is going to go down. I don't care how many robots he thinks he's going to build in a year. It doesn't matter. You're not growing 50%. You're not making the cars the way we thought you were. You're not selling all of them. You're dropping the prices. Fuck your robots. Okay. It just doesn't matter. Wall Street's going to punish you for the next, maybe year, maybe 2 years. But don't get me wrong. Tesla's going to go 5, 10x. I still believe that. But having said that, I also see opportunities in Amazon. I see opportunities even in Clean Spark. I see opportunities in Ethereum and Bitcoin. And I think those things are going to play out faster right now. So that was what I was thinking. Like maybe I should move some of that Tesla into Ethereum, into Amazon, into things that I think are going to all-time highs, basically.
Let me answer this one question real quick, then I want to ask you another thing. Amit, why buy long-dated leaps like you are if you sell within 2 weeks? It was an earnings play, but the fun thing about buying long-dated leaps, they expired in 2026, is that let's say earnings shit the bed, I would have 2 years for SoFi to recover. So it's like, it wouldn't be like, I bought them for February expiration and then, if SoFi shit the bed, then all the money's gone. So to me, I never buy monthlies or weeklies, even though it would have been cheaper and the return would have been better. Like if you bought the $8 call on SoFi when it was $7.30 expiring in 3 days, you would have made 150%. I made 30% today. But you're gambling then because it's like, what if they shit the bed, right? So for me, I've always wanted to sell. I didn't want to hold it for 2 years, but I definitely have the option if they messed up. Okay, here the question I have here is, do you think Tesla? So it was up 5% today. Do you think it can get back to 220 just on pure retail? I gotta buy the dip. I gotta buy the dip momentum. And if it does, do you think it's just going back down? Because as you said, there is no fundamental reason for Tesla to be trading at these valuations given the growth that we're seeing.
Well, let me just look, because Tesla also does trade with technicals. So let me just take a look at roughly what's going on.
Yeah, and then I want to talk about your Meta position because they have earnings this week, so we should talk about that too. And then Amazon as well. Guys, Carlos should be joining. I don't know what happened to him. He said he was Chris. He's knocked out. He went to the doctor.
So I mean, I'm not going to go into the whole chart because I actually don't track Tesla as closely, but it does look, if we bounce, I mean, we can bounce at 250, honestly, if we bounce.
Okay.
Once again, I don't care.
No.
But we're at a point where we can fall through. So if we fall through and we don't bounce, then and the market's not bullish, we go lower.
Okay, so why are you buying Amazon with the money that you got from Tesla?
Well, I showed the chart for Amazon before. I don't know. I would show that again.
Yeah, show it again. Let's do that one. That one's very interesting this week.
Well,
I mean,
we should talk about SoFi.
We'll talk about them too. We'll do SoFi.
I'm surprised you sold because they're sounding pretty bullish too.
Dude, yeah, I don't trust the price action on that damn stock. Like, I really don't. It sells off every time. Like,
I agree with you, but the thing that happens is companies like this are volatile. They go up and down, up and down, up and down until one day they just explode and you can't catch them again.
Correct. So, but the S&P is at all-time highs, dude. I mean, we're coming, even Tom Lee said, we're coming for a pullback, and I don't know if SoFi is.
I believe Tom Lee.
Tom Lee got, you know what he got right? He said end of January we're going to be at all-time highs. That's happening. And then he said after that, prepare for a 7% pullback. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I don't know if SoFi, maintains $10 if that happens.
Hold on. I'm also dealing with a luggage issue, by the way, because we're on a shoot now in Alabama, and they have not delivered all our bags.
Oh, you're in Alabama right now?
Yeah.
Damn.
Ooh, bag on plane. Hold on. Let me just
wait. I have a question for you. Wait, let me wait till you.
Delta has fucked up on our luggage, so let me just at least.
Yeah, you got. I'll read some comments. SoFi is going to do what Pouncer did last year. I think it can. I think that guidance was phenomenal. We'll talk about it. Anthony Noto knocked it out of the park. I mean, you saw a 20% move today. It was absolutely incredible. 280 million shares were traded today. The highest it's ever been in SoFi's volume. There was a ton of liquidity. But I don't know if they keep the price action given they're 13% sold short. Now, the question is, was the 20% move because the shorts covered, or was it because there was just buy side pressure? I don't know. We'll see. But I don't know how this price will end up.
So you sold all your
No, I have some SoFi shares. But this was a earnings play that I did. So I bought 60 contracts 2 weeks ago. And I was like, no matter what happens, I'm selling it after earnings because I think there's going to be a pop. Earnings was really good. And it went up. And I made 30%, which is awesome. But I just didn't feel like I should hold this for a long time, given the macro is a little iffy.
Well, let's take the chart afterwards. But here, I'll share the Amazon
chart. Real quick, do you have any cousins in Alabama?
No. What? Where are you going?
Because
what are you trying to get to?
In Alabama, don't...
what?
Isn't cousin pussy the thing in Alabama that
cousin pussy?
isn't that one?
I knew we were going somewhere. I didn't know we were going to cousin pussy.
I'm just saying if you have any cousins. All right. Anyway, go ahead.
So Amazon is so amazing. I mean, I wish I paid attention to technicals much longer ago, like 10, 15 years ago, but I didn't. And everyone who thinks it's magic is kind of amazing. Does that look like magic to you?
Well, I mean,
you're like, yeah, it looks like magic.
It looks like male astrology.
No, but think about it. A company that's doing well over time, that's a pretty amazing channel that it's just been traveling through the whole time, isn't it?
No, you're right. You're right on that.
So let me show you where we are now, because this is why I became bullish at like $185 as it was dropping. And I still feel I don't have enough Amazon. I'm looking at how do I buy more, because I think we're going to 300. So check this out. We are here. We collapsed. And when we collapsed, I was buying, but I was scared, because that's where you have to be. You have to be scared and buying.
Yes.
There's no way around it, honestly.
Yeah.
So I was scared because we fell out of our long-term trend. And I was like, will it get back? And I even drew this line like where it was touching, or we're here with the support back in the day here. The support was back in 2018 all the way till 2020. That's like 2 years of support, by the way, at this price. That's why I was scared, but I was like buying. All right. This is the reason. And then I'm like, are we going to get back into this long-term trend? And Meta has a very similar story, by the way. I'll show you Meta's if you want to check it out. But we are back in our long-term trend and we're riding along it. What do you think happens when we get past our all-time high of 175?
That's the all-time high, 175?
It's coming up. 170, 187. I'm sorry, maybe 187, but around there. What do you think happens? And it's really all this obstruction was around 175, 180. So what do you think happens when it gets there? In technical terms, there's nothing to stop it from going higher because there is no more resistance. Okay. So you can say it collapses back when it hits all-time highs, but that's not what happens with Amazon over time. You look at 20 years of Amazon. That is not what happens with Amazon. It hits all-time highs. Maybe there's a pullback and then it goes off to the moon again. So I don't know what people are expecting to occur, but I'm projecting even at the bottom of the channel, 2026, we're at $232, even in my bear case scenario. I don't think it's exiting this channel anymore. I think they're just going to make tons of money and they're going to continue going up and to the right. So if that's the case, what is it in a more realistic scenario where it's like bouncing around in this channel? Well, probably around 300, 350 bucks. That's what I'm saying.
Well, the reason it collapsed in 2022 outside of the macro was because they ran up so much during COVID and they just didn't need as much.
Yeah, but okay, look at this. This is interesting. You're like, oh, during COVID, something was different. Amazon didn't need COVID to run up, by the way. That was just maybe another thing that propelled stocks. Because look at the channel it's been touching. Here's 2018. And in COVID, it was, you're right, here's 2020. It went up straight up to the top of the channel. So if you were paying attention to this whole chart over time, as I'm pointing out, you would have just went to where it naturally wants to go when it's run a little bit too hard. So here it ran a little bit too hard. That's why we spent the next several years returning to some normalcy, even going underneath it. And now we're getting back into the channel. And what happens when it runs super hard? I don't even want to, these numbers are crazy. Okay. And Amazon is $700 if it stays in this channel. I don't even care about that. My point is, I think Amazon's going to $300, and that's why I don't have enough Amazon.
So what strikes are you buying for 2026?
I've been buying all along the way, by the way. I have, when it fell to 100, I bought a bunch of 100 strike calls.
Oh yeah.
Then I bought at 130. I sold puts as well meaning if it goes under 130, they paid you like 15, 20 bucks a contract per share. So then it has to fall to like 115 again. I was like, all right, I'll sell some of those contracts. I bought calls at 135. I bought calls now at 150. I always buy sort of in the money. I'm not like, and I also have a couple of spreads, 10 or 20 spreads, 10 or 20 contracts for 175 to 200 or 220.
But is it worth buying $150 calls for 2 years out? You think that's a good alpha in terms of the contract?
Well, if it doubles, so I looked at this math recently, like yesterday, but if it doubles in stock price, I make my money. So let's say I paid $30 a share and I make let's say $50 a share.
It's 5x.
That's even if it's 4x. Let's say I have to subtract that. So, all right. So I get a 4x from the calls I bought.
It's and to assume it's not 150.
And even if it's not 300 and it's 250, okay. So I make a 3x. I mean, I don't give a shit. So I think Amazon at this price is still cheap. So
what is there anything besides the technicals, the fundamentals? Is it just AWS?
Oh yeah, no. There is fundamentals. So I don't just look at the technicals. It's not just that. It's basically AWS. I think still has a lot to grow. I don't think everybody is on the internet. Like, everybody believes everybody's converted their back office to the cloud. No, that hasn't happened. It's all happening. And next 10 years, Amazon's even going to be more dominant for this AWS. Plus this whole advertising thing, which was a zero burger 4 years ago, is now something on Amazon. Now they're charging you for movies an extra $3 and doing advertising on top of that. Imagine the print they're going to have once this advertising revenue shows.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's this quarter, maybe they start, or is it next quarter? I'm not sure what quarter they're at that point. I'm just looking at the fundamentals over time. It's not, I have 2 years to be right about some of this. So I think I'm going to do well in Amazon. Yeah.
Okay. Let's do SoFi, then we'll talk Meta. What were your thoughts on the earnings? How'd you generally feel?
I didn't hear his earnings, but I just heard his talk with. Did you want to play the video?
Yeah, I'll play it for everyone who didn't hear. Let's hear Noto talk, and then I'll give overview on it.
Popping double digits on those strong results, almost up 23% profitable outlook as well. What are some of the key drivers that you think led to these results?
Well, Leslie, thank you for having me on. I'd say the strategy overall has really come into play and delivered exceptional results for the quarter. 6 years ago, we embarked on this very ambitious strategy to be a one-stop shop for all your financial services needs. When I joined the company in February 2018, we were primarily just a lender in 2 products. Today, we offer not just 4 types of loans, including home loans, but we also offer SoFi Money, which is a modern checking and savings account, SoFi Invest, SoFi credit card, insurance products, and we also power 140 million accounts across the fintech industry through our technology platform that we outsource to our partners. This quarter really reflects the fact that the financial services segment is now profitable and growing quite meaningfully. The tech platform business is also profitable with accelerating growth, and that's really the drivers of growth going in 2024 and less so the lending pieces. So it was a combination of that strategy over the last 6 years being invested in and then coming to fruition in 2023 with record revenue of over $2 billion and record EBITDA and actually hitting our long-term EBITDA margins at 30%. And as you mentioned, GAAP profitability for the first time, which will sustain in 2024.
Yeah, and of course, this all comes against a macroeconomic backdrop that for a lot of lenders remains uncertain. And you have a pretty conservative outlook for 2024, baking in a 5% unemployment rate, 4 rate cuts, which is of course fewer than the market is pricing in. So what are you seeing in terms of customer spending trends, portfolio quality that is helping to inform your outlook for 2024?
Yeah, as you mentioned, we did take a very conservative view on the lending part of the business for 24. We are expecting 75% year-over-year revenue growth in our financial services segment and 20% year-over-year revenue growth in a tech platform, and really no growth in lending because of that conservative view that we're taking. We do expect credit to normalize. We're seeing those trends across the industry as well as at SoFi, and so we're taking a very cautious view there. In terms of underlying spending trends within SoFi Money, we had $1.6 billion of point-of-sale debit spending in the quarter. That's annualized at about $6 billion. It's up 3x from a year ago. We're seeing strength within existing accounts, but we're also adding new accounts, so it could be a little bit misleading. In addition to that, we have been observers of the broader market dynamics. We've seen some levels of liquidity dry up in certain markets. In addition to that, the largest banks have seen an increase relative to 7 and 10-year highs in write-offs, delinquencies, and then the provisions for losses of one of the largest banks were up 50% sequentially. So we're really bullish about our financial services segment, which is growing quite well, 75% for next year, and tech platform, but conservative on the lending side.
Hey, Anthony, some of the macro stuff that got commentary in the earnings last week was about real wage growth rising again after 2 years of shrinking. Is that starting to make itself felt within the metrics?
We're not actually seeing an impact on spending. We are obviously seeing a normalization of credit back to pre-COVID levels. So that's where it's showing up on the spending side. That is still strong, but the credit side across the industry as well as at SoFi is definitely normalizing, which is why we're taking a conservative view. The unique thing for SoFi is that in 24, 50% of our revenue will be from technology platform revenue and financial services, and 50% from lending. In previous years, it was as high as 80%. So we've gained scale and profitability in those 2 segments just in the right time as we enter 2024 and the concerns on the credit side.
They killed it. Vitaly, your thoughts, then we'll get you on, Carlos. What do you think? You're muted right now.
Okay, sorry about that. There was another interview. He actually mentioned something that was really important. And yes, they killed it, of course. He said longer term, in terms of 2024, he's saying, first of all, he splits it up 50% revenue lending and 50% technology and financial services, right? And he's saying longer term, which is 2024, he has this interview where he talks about 75% growth he's expecting in financial services, which is kind of crazy, and 20% growth in the tech platform. I'm assuming he means Galileo. He didn't, right? Is that Galileo that he's talking about?
Yeah.
The 20% growth. So either way, it's over double digits, high double digits, basically, that they're going to be growing in 2024. So I don't know. There's nothing but being bullish about it because he always meets or beats expectations. He's never not failed us in like 2 years, basically. So I'm really happy to be invested actually in SoFi.
Carlos, did you get to check out earnings? What are your thoughts? Oh, you're muted.
Sounds a little weird.
There you go. You should be good.
Louder, louder.
This is as loud as it goes. I'm using the M4 box again. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I did. I caught earnings through a little bit throughout the day. The more I listen to him talk, the more I like him as a CEO. Even when he's giving bad news, I feel like there's a certain trust that I have for that guy that I don't have for other CEOs. It's interesting because like the promise of fintech was like that they were going to be able to use technology in a way that's going to give them things like better margins, or they would have better customer retention, or they would have a lower cost of customer acquisition, or that they would be able to further monetize these customers in ways that traditional banks weren't. And I think that markets were cautious on the multiples for companies like SoFi, and it's nice to see them actually doing what they were supposed to do as fintech companies. This was a milestone moment for them, and I can see that he's like super proud of it. And I feel like they're proving out that fintech actually is something more than just traditional banking. And now they need to continue proving that, and the metrics need to continue improving. But I was pretty impressed, and I think the markets are now will be less cautious and more eager to buy stocks like SoFi. Like it was really nice to see in their portfolio today. I almost wish I still held some of the calls. I was up a lot, but it was good. This was a good call for them.
Yeah, let us know in the chat what you guys think about SoFi, if you sold any or held any, if you did any options plays. I think the biggest thing is that they said that the lending business, they're going to pull back on a little bit because they don't want a ton of exposure to lending going into an uncertain macro. And so 50% of revenue growth, which accounted for 38% of revenue growth last year, was financial services in the tech sector. Financial services will be 75%, tech sector will be another 25%. So, I mean, they're basically saying, hey, we're going to be GAAP profitable. Their EBITDA is at 181 million adjusted EBITDA. Last quarter was 91 million, so they doubled that. Margins at 30% adjusted EBITDA. Last couple quarters it was 16 to 15%. And they're like, yeah, we're going to be profitable. We're a profitable bank. We're going to keep growing profitably. We're not stopping our growth rates. And now it's just kind of like, do you think we deserve to be an $8 billion company when we're doing $2 billion in revenue, 2.5 next year? I don't know.
Well, here's the question. So I know they had some funny, at least accounting, maybe not funny, but you know, this GAAP profitability. What is there's still no net income, right?
Go to visual stocks. The visual chart.
No, they're profitable. They made $48 million of profit this quarter. So I'm saying they're literally profitable. That's pure net income. That's not operating income. That's just GAAP profitability.
See, I didn't check all that out, but 47 million in net income. There you go. Okay, that is amazing. Absolutely.
And they're guiding for 100 million next year in profits.
Jesus,
so it's about 20 million a quarter.
Guided for 100 million next year.
Right.
This year, you mean this year, 2024.
Yeah, 2024.
Yeah.
It feels like it should be more because they said 70% growth in terms of their.
Also, they sandbag a lot, dude. They sandbag a lot.
Yeah, financial services growing 75%. I mean, okay. But if they sandbag that, then fuck, we'll actually do good. And our calls have time to mature to fucking actually make some good chunk of change. So, and the thing is, I've been in those $5 calls and $7 calls, so they're up, but I'm not in this for a double. Like this is the home run, right?
Yeah. No, it's exciting, and I think they're going to be able to continue this growth. The question is do you, like Carlos, do you think the street will respect it? Because we've seen this happen time and time again. So if I pumps from 8 to 10 and then boop comes right back down, that's the only part I'm scared about, is that the street is not going to like give them the love they deserve, even though they crushed on every metric. Now, but they are profitable now, which is the difference.
Well, them being profitable was a certain part of the story. They have to be able to differentiate themselves and prove that their tech, that the tech part of fintech allows them to do things more nimbly than traditional banks. If traditional banks pivot and are able to capture some of the gains that they are capturing, then they're going to get punished for that as well. It's very competitive. It's very competitive. So that's what we have to wait for the next couple of months or over the next year, and see how the rest of the market responds. Wall Street is very cautious, and if Wall Street feels like, as Chris has said, that they're just like another bank, then they're gonna, they're not going to get that. They're not going to get that multiple, and them too. I mean, I'm sure that they need to as well, because if you think about it, without having a lot of the bureaucracy and overhead of traditional banks, they should be doing really well.
Yeah.
So check this out. I mean, I really don't look at SoFi charts too much, but we are at the point where it has to make a decision. Is this true or is this not? Because like every time it gets to this resistance line, it collapses, and it's been doing that for years now, since 2021, basically, I guess, when they came out, a SPAC, right?
Yeah.
So we've been hitting this resistance point a lot, and we still have not crossed it. So yes, it sounds great, but we're really not above it yet. I'm not going to get too bullish until we're actually just destroy this line.
What's the top of that channel, say 3 months out, 3 months from now, next quarter? Where we at?
Next quarter, when is that? June?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's $8.49. So we have to be above $8.49 in 3 months. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
so I would say this is not a guarantee going up. I'm just saying that it seems like the stock I have, the calls, or the leaps I have, I always get leaps. I think they will pay off. I think SoFi is executing. I think next year it'll be pretty clear. I don't know about this quarter. Not sure about that, but I think next year it'll be pretty clear. I think we're over $8, $10, that kind of stuff.
Okay. So we got Microsoft and Google tomorrow. What do you think happens? Vitaly, start with you.
Oh, I think Google's going to do good. I mean, I can't predict exactly how high they're going to go. I think I showed their chart too, so I do follow technicals. Google has been toppy in terms of technicals, but they're executing and they're buying back shares, which fundamentals do matter. So I think Google will do well. Microsoft, I'm not sure, because I looked at them today and I'm doing really well in the small amount of shares I have in Microsoft. And I was actually thinking of selling them and going into Amazon, because I'm like, how much further does Microsoft have to run? How much is this AI thing going to keep going? But I'm always scared because I feel like we don't know. We don't know the answer to that. So I think Microsoft too can surprise us and just keep going.
It's like NVIDIA.
I think that's the second play behind NVIDIA, because they have OpenAI, ChatGPT. I think that's a big deal. So Google is not being credited for Bard yet, for their AI yet. So when they will be, then we have we can finally have a $3 trillion Google, as opposed to, like, what is it, 1.5, 1.7, somewhere around there.
Yeah. The Microsoft thing's going to be really interesting. There's a really good clip I think everyone deserves to see. I just remembered it, by Brad from Alternative Capital, talking about what he expects from Microsoft going into this year, specifically on earnings, and also what he thinks is going on with the semis right now. I mean, this was a really, really good clip, just him talking about earnings. So let's take a look at this and preview what's going on this week.
Capital joins us now on set. Brett, great to have you with us.
Great to be here.
We're talking about the market's just propensity to go higher. So what does that mean in terms of the setup for these big tech stocks?
Well, I'll tell you, it's a lot. The markets are a lot more heated up than it is right now in Miami. But listen, we've come a long way quickly. Remember, the first week of the year, Mag 7 was down and everybody was panicking, right, that the run was over. And then we've had a 30% move out of NVIDIA higher. We've had a 10% move out of Microsoft higher. So we've had a big bounce off of the bottom. And I think this week they're going to have to deliver on earnings or beat earnings in order to just stay where they are, right? And so I think on balance, if they were priced where they were in the first week of the year, I think you could make some fast money this week. But the reality is the month has already made some people some fast money. NASDAQ up 4%. A lot of these stocks up 5 to 10%. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a little breather this week.
So it pulled forward a lot of enthusiasm.
Can you pause this?
Time with a handful of names that did a lot of the.
I know Brad. I like him talking on the all in pod and everything, but he's been wrong a lot. Okay, so besides Meta that he pushed, and obviously Google, he's been shitting on since $85 that OpenAI is going to take over and search is dead. He keeps talking about, like, what the fuck are you talking about? Search is dead.
Yeah,
I
don't
still
think
go
he's-
mostly to Google. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't go every
anyone
single
saying
day.
that, I don't think they know what they're talking about.
So he keeps saying that. He says my daughter just uses OpenAI all the time.
It's like maybe your daughter's smarter than everybody else.
Yeah, maybe she's no, but I mean, like he's been wrong on a lot of things. So I actually don't like listening to him. I mean, it's good to always listen to everybody, but I don't think he's been correct on a lot of stuff, especially recently, last year or so.
All right.
Heavy lifting last year. When
He's like, all right, play
last
it.
week, think about what Tesla
You had some
and
good
the positioning
shit
of
here.
that.
Some
The
good
stock
shit.
had sold off 20% into the price,
Right.
so expectations were really low. When they didn't deliver, the
Right.
stock was down 12% the next day. So when you think about it, Microsoft, to your point, has rallied 12% in a straight line in 3 weeks. Expectations couldn't be higher. The stock closed at an all-time high. It's trading at an all-time high valuation. It wouldn't take much to have that stock down 5-10% over the next few weeks.
I mean, listen, I think it would take a lot for it to be down 10%. The problems at Tesla were idiosyncratic to Tesla. It was a disastrous call. You know, I saw a note out of them today. I think that's beginning to get constructive again. I think it looks interesting at these levels. But Microsoft is the leader, cloud leader in AI. I don't expect a blow-away print, but we expect them to beat this week. I think the beat will be enough for it to hold its head, but it's going to take a really big beat in order to get it moving higher after a 12% move, to your point. And if they don't, if there's a disappointment, like I say to my team, if your numbers are going higher, the stock's going higher. The problem with Tesla, its numbers went lower. So Microsoft, you know, we'll see when they report. I don't expect it to be a big beat, but we do expect it to be, continue to be constructive.
Today's the 29th. Thank you, Guy. The 22nd Supermicro computer guided for the quarter, and the stock was up in a sort of a parabolic way. They came out with earnings today, the upper end of guidance, probably higher than the top end, and the stock's up again. Those are parabolic moves that we see sort of more towards the end of things than the beginning. However, maybe this is the start of something. So how do you wrap your head around something like that?
I mean, listen, Supermicro took their full year guide up after the bell today by 40%. 40% to $14 billion. So that's why you're seeing these moves. Plus, as you and I were discussing, it's a heavily shorted stock in the hedge fund community. So the stock's up 75% this year on numbers that are going a lot higher. This isn't about just wild multiple expansion, right? I think what you have in this moment in time is a platform disruption, an AI super cycle. It's very difficult to forecast, right? Think about NVIDIA at the start of last year. Data center revenues were expected to shrink by 6%, right? We thought we had huge variant perception by being up 16%, and it ended up over 25%, right? That is a wild difference between the beginning of year forecast and the full year forecast.
So Supermicro is not a sign of an AI bubble or bubblicious action. It's just, it went up and now hedge funds are short. So this is squeezy sort of action that we're seeing in today's session. But in terms of the AI leader being NVIDIA, perhaps, is that still cheap in your view?
So NVIDIA ended last year at 20 times earnings. Its lowest multiple of earnings it's ever traded at, despite the fact that it's the purest play AI name in the space. It's traded up to about 26 times. So there's a wall of worry, right? The number of times I heard from my investors and others, it's doubled over the course of the last year. We need to sell it. For us, we pay attention to the numbers. Our numbers are still well above the street for this year. I think there's a lot of doubt. The common discussion at the end of last year was that they pulled forward all the AI training demand for the next several years. That's not what we see when we talk to customers who are putting bigger orders in the order book. So we think those numbers continue to go up. And back to Supermicro, they're building the servers for folks like Meta, right? Which leads to this increase in revenue. But let's be clear. If you miss your numbers, if you're Supermicro or NVIDIA or Microsoft, if you miss your numbers with this level of expectation after these moves, you're going to have a Tesla-like effect.
So let's talk about
That part is true. That part's accurate.
Yeah, I think the big thing he said there was that the GPU demand is obvious. SMCI, they crushed today. I mean, they raised guidance above the preliminary guidance they gave by 40%. So the stock went from 300 to 500, then it went up to date from 500 to 540. I mean, it's just insane. But it proves that there is demand for all these training and all these models and LLMs. Microsoft, Amazon, Google, they're the three big dogs that get money from that. And then maybe the Pounters and Snowflakes get money from that after. But that's my question. Do you think that Microsoft actually puts up the numbers to justify the valuation they're getting at 3.02 trillion now?
I looked it up.
They're expected to do 15% year-over-year growth, which would be the highest in 2 years.
I know, but I looked at Microsoft if it was expensive even. Okay. And I was like, okay, at $400, is it expensive? Because I was looking to sell it for Amazon. All right. PE ratio is 40, a current. And let me see. Forward PE is 36, coming down a bit. I don't know. I mean, like, and they're a software company. Their price of sale is this 14. Is it a little bit expensive? Maybe, but it's not crazy. Like Tesla was actually crazy expensive for the growth that they're not delivering. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So this is not that crazy at the bottom line. Just like Nvidia, if you look at Nvidia's numbers, it's not that crazy, even though it's been going parabolic because they keep showing better and better numbers. It's that's why I don't want to sell it. It's not totally overvalued.
Carlos, you're muted.
I was going to say, what I'm hearing from him is it almost seems like markets are in a give me a reason sort of mode, right? Give me a reason and we'll make it go up. We'll give me a reason, we'll make it go down. I feel like there has been a lot of money that's sitting on the sidelines, and this is why they're the Mag 7, because the money's coming in and they seem like the safest bets to get the gains. And so I think Microsoft is kind of being set up to fail at this point. And to his point, if the numbers are up a little bit, then I think it will stay flat. I think he's right in the sense that there needs to be a significant beat where the analysts feel like, wow, we got it wrong. In the same way that they felt with Nvidia. Nvidia is a weird stock. It's almost changing the way these earnings are perceived and the moves that happen afterwards. It's crazy to watch because we watched this happen. I think, what was it? Q2 last year is when this whole thing started. So now now Microsoft is basically being given the baton, and now they have to basically continue the rally that we're going into. So we will see. I tend to agree with what he's saying. If they have a massive beat, they're going to stay flat. If it's if they have a slight beat, it's going to stay flat. If it's a massive beat, then you should see the stock push higher. But if there's something missing, or if there's any weakness whatsoever in the guidance, then the stock will come back down.
I think any beat it goes higher, but also we're forgetting there's only a few companies that are winning this AI thing, and Microsoft is clearly winning. So if we are in an AI boom or bubble, whatever you want to call it, you can call it a bubble, but the bubble can last for 2 years more. You know what I'm saying? So 3 years more. Is that a bubble if Microsoft keeps making money and people keep buying the stock because they will overpay for something that's higher quality than everybody else? It's either Nvidia, Microsoft, and maybe Google. SMCI is just benefiting off of this, but I mean, those are the three that you really want to be in terms of for AI.
Well, I feel like they need to prove how the AI is being used.
Well, Microsoft is integrating it into their business. They're actually integrating
it. It's Copilot. Copilot is their use case, but
and it's $30 per person, right? From what I remember.
Yeah.
Because NVIDIA has proven that AI is a thing because a lot of companies are buying their GPUs, right? But now for those companies that are buying the GPUs, we now need to see, okay, so all that CapEx, what's it doing to your bottom line? And so this is where it's like a prove out. They have to prove it out now.
Well, it's also monopoly. So imagine what other company, because Apple's not giving the same level of AI integration and back-end services that Microsoft is doing. So really they're proving once again that they are the only monopoly in town. So I think that deserves a premium on its own. So I think as people recognize, oh, Amazon is not going anywhere, Microsoft is not going anywhere, people want to be in those safe stocks and they're willing to pay more for them.
Yeah,
Me too.
Yeah, I mean, do you guys get the feeling like there's just all this money on the sidelines that wants
still $6 trillion that's waiting?
They want to come in.
They want to buy more Amazon and Microsoft.
What do I got to buy? Because they want to be in the game, right? It's like get antsy when you've been out of the game. That's why I say, like, give me a reason.
Wow, how much money have they lost this year by not being in the game? It's crazy.
Yeah, that's true. I'm sure you guys saw that video. That was like the amount of money that you would make, the amount of money over the last 20 years that you would have made if you missed and didn't miss the best 10 trading days of the year. It's like 66% difference in your portfolio if you miss out on the best.
All right, let's do 5 last minutes on Bitcoin because it's rallying a little bit. Anyone want to pull up a chart?
Talk about Elon Musk. They implanted the first human.
We'll do that tomorrow because we only got 5 minutes left. That's a really good topic. That's like a good 20-minute topic. Yeah. We'll talk about that.
Yeah, I was thinking about you when I saw Bitcoin go back. It's just funny how like the bears come out and even some newer holders of Bitcoin start to you start to see their confidence being shaken as it drops back down, but that confidence comes right back up right?
Well, if it goes up, it's like, well, never mind. It's not dead. It's here. There it is.
My mother was in town this weekend. It was my birthday, so we did a party on Saturday, and my mother started talking to me about crypto, and I was like, oh, that's a sign that we're topping, because like my mom's 69 years old. What is she doing talking about crypto? And I was talking about it. She's like, well, when are you going to buy me an apartment?
Matt Money in the chat says 150K in the next 18 months. Are you guys?
I don't disagree. I don't disagree. I think I was much more confident.
I'm going to say 120.
Well, definitely
disagree with
120, but between 120, 170.
Not to sell over $100,000, at least for me, would be just like, I'm selling over $100,000. Absolutely.
So this pop from 38 grand, you think it's just typical Bitcoin? Anything to explain it, or
no? I mean, they're not really typical.
Pretty much
Look at
Bitcoin.
those candles. What's the move in those? What's the move in each of those candles? What time frame is this?
this is on the month. No, it's in a minute.
I was watching a Plain Bagel. I don't know if you watched that guy.
Yeah,
Plain Bagel.
Yep.
And he was describing Bitcoin ETFs and how he's like everybody already knows about the halving. So everybody already knows about it, that this is happening. So everybody's front running. He's explaining in his video. I'm like, no, they don't. Okay. You watch when supply actually gets held back by the miners, what happens over the next year, because that's part of what happens. They hold back the supply. There's not as much to trade on the exchanges. It's all part of the whole narrative of Bitcoin. So I think he's totally wrong about his thesis about it, that people are, even though they know it, it's not priced in. That has not been priced in. But he was saying it was, Carlos, by the way.
What?
The halving is priced in. So everybody already knows about it. It's done. It reached 40 grand.
Look, it's kind of genius. It's kind of genius in that even if you know about it, it still is going to have the effect that it was designed to have, simply because there's a closed loop where the miners that are creating the Bitcoin are paid in Bitcoin. It's not like if you knew that there was stock dilution coming up, right? Or if you knew that like the rate of issuing new shares of a company was going to get cut in half. It's not the same thing, because the closed loop is that the miners, in order for them to realize gains, they need to sell that Bitcoin. And because they know that it's going to be worth half of what it is come one day to the next, they're going to wait for higher prices, which means once the Bitcoin halving happens, like who's selling all the Bitcoin? Who's going to be selling Bitcoin?
Right. Hey, well, everybody's waiting because the miners know we need to double our price of Bitcoin in order to make the same amount of money we did yesterday.
Yeah.
After the halving.
Yeah.
So I think it's an interesting dynamic that's going to play out. It is a fascinating experiment, but I am of the belief absolutely over $100,000 Bitcoin is happening 2024, 2025, whenever, but it's happening.
And
it's about time.
How's Coinbase stock doing?
It was at 1/3. It was up 5%. Everything did well today. Cryptos did well. Miners did well.
Yeah.
Now it's just a
You ever
question.
get those days where it's just like people just want to invest today? They just want to buy some shit today. It's like like impulse purchases.
Oh, it's not retail. It's how Wall Street tricks us into buying before the 10% dump.
They're like, hey guys, look, come in. There's candy here.
Welcome.
No,
all right.
Psyched.
JPal speaks on Wednesday. We'll cover it then. Google, Microsoft tomorrow. That'll be big. We'll cover it tomorrow. We'll see you guys then.
Wait, whose earnings are Wednesday?
Oh, it's your birthday too? Happy birthday.
No, it's not his birthday today.
No, his birthday was October.
No, your birthday.
My birthday.
Oh, me? Yeah. It was yesterday actually. 45.
Happy birthday. 40. What we saying?
7.
47.
47.
No, 48. 47 or 48.
No, 48. 47.
We're both January babies.
Yeah. Days of heart. Or not. What are you? 20? You're the 15th, right?
Yeah.
You're the 15th. Yeah. So it was yesterday. That was cool.
Cool.
Wednesday is AMD, I think. That's the big one.
So then that's whose earnings going to get shit on, this pal. You got to look and see.
And Meta, I think. Yeah, Meta.
Meta's going to go up.
With Thursday.
Meta's another big bet that, it's going to work out.
Yeah.
I think with Thursday. What happened to Chris today?
He's sleeping, dude. He had to go to the doctor as he knocked out when he got home.
That happened to me too. I woke up, I had like emergency dentist.
Yeah, I figured you were sleeping.
That's why I was late, but it's fine.
Oh, AMD's tomorrow. Okay, so Meta's on Wednesday.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, cool.
All right,
everybody.
What'd you talk about before I got on?
We talked about movies, actually.
Say what?
It was a big movie discussion. Yeah, it was a big movie discussion.
Oh, all right. Because
I saw Poor Things. You should watch that too. An amazing movie.
I lived that Poor Things.
It's not quite the same thing. All right, guys.
All right, everybody. See you tomorrow. Big week this week. See you guys tomorrow.
Bye.
Have a good one.